In Fire Yet We Trust is the first institutional solo exhibition of the artist Neda Saeedi in Europe. And I'm very proud that we could work together for this show. I'm amazed by the sculptures and installations by Neda, because they all have in common that they are very precise and at the same time also emotional articulations of our present time. So they are very responsive and have both an aspect of analyzing, but also of just articulating a mood that is happening in response to what is going on in the current moment.
Mit Feuer, also ich habe mit Feuer unterschiedliche Ebenen zu tun, aber was interessiert mich am meisten im Feuer ist diese transformative Macht, das es hat. Und das kann auch in gute oder schlechte Sinne sich geben, aber es ist halt was ein Feuer macht, kann man, also es ist immer so vor der Feuer und nach. Also es gibt immer, es ist wie ein Tipping Point. Und für mich, also diese transformative Ebene im Feuer ist sehr interessant, oder es ist was für mich faszinierend ist.
The exhibition starts with a discussion of windows. So when we enter, we see a splendid altar of church windows, or windows that are reminiscent of church windows. Here we don't see the biblical story, although there's also part of it integrated. But it's actually in the center we see the self-image and advertisement of the European Union, very much in the beginning. So it's a poster that that Neda Saeedi is referencing here from the 1990s. And we see not the Tower of Babel, but the EU Parliament building in Strasbourg. That's the only thing that she changed in this poster. So it's a witness of the complete hubris of Europe and the European Union, one could say. We see this image is flanked by simultaneous realities, which is those of birds in this window. The work is also named after these birds. Only birds who fly the highest can shatter the windows. And we see vultures. So we know vultures have a very crucial role in reality, because they clean up everything. And on the other side, we see migratory birds, cranes. So they have different homes, right, at the same time, and this also does not cause any problem in their lives. And then at the sides we have the elements of water and fire. We can step also behind the altar piece, and then we enter a territory which is way more festive and celebratory than the outside front. So the windows from the inside, and windows are also always conceived. They pretend to be very transparent, that they are porous to the outside, but they are always conceived from the inside towards the outside. So what happens in this installation is all the light from outside is sucked in, and the windows become much more colorful and beautiful from an inside perspective. Also, the walls are We have these festive curtains on the sides. So it's really feels like a protective party stage, which has nothing to do with the view from outside. We also have a spectacular shadow play in this space. So in many regards, this reflects a self-image of Europe and also alludes to the worldwide consequences that this very reductive, failed self-image produces. We feel in this work when we enter it the exploitative nature of this union. And then the exhibition continues with another window, a very small one, a little tiny work newly produced for the exhibition, which is called New Broken Window here. And we present it in a very unusual way. So normally, if we show an image, it's framed, protected behind glass. Here, the artist fixed her image with tape, which runs over it. So like a broken window. And I mean, this is referencing many different things, like windows in war situations, in natural catastrophes, but also a theory that two US-American sociologists developed in the 1980s, and Giuliani in his time as mayor of New York very much based his zero tolerance politics on this theory, which says that if there's one broken window in the street, you have to get rid of it, you have to fix it right away in order to prevent other people to break other windows. So here we have a new broken window. So obviously a counter-statement to this theory, which shows also that this theory and much of our politics are based on cosmetics. So it's treating symptoms, making invisible symptoms of big systematic problems. And as long as we have these systematic impulses and problems, probably there will be always a new broken window here. We are pulled in the last room of this trilogy space of the first part of the exhibition by light, and it feels like burning. We have this work, which was also new commissioned for this exhibition, is called Sinking Suns, and it really feels like it burns, like something is happening. We enter a cinematic space and we become part of it, so we see ourselves as a shadow in these huge projections. And at the same time, we see the fragile sources that produce these magnificent images. So these are tiny glass arrangements, very fragile. So the opposite of the strength of these images that they produce, and also the technique that the artist is using is almost anachronistic. So it's overhead projectors. And then also part of the overhead projectors, she shows us the inside. So really there is no hiding of the sources of this big effect. So normally you would hide the special effect, right? It's in a black box, nobody knows of it. and then you see just the result, and that's why this effect causes so much affect on you, because you don't know how it's produced and you fall in the trap of illusion. Here, you see how the illusion is produced, you become part of it, and you still cannot get rid of it, I would say. And then you have the whole ambivalence of sinking suns. What does it mean? What is a sinking sun? What does it stand for in our culture? Why do we find it romantic? Could be also the end. Will there be a new beginning? So all these, it's somehow, I would say, it's a space of moods, different moods, that these images create, and that you, as a visitor, respond, and probably people respond also in different ways to it, but it does something to you, and it addresses you not only intellectually, but also on a corporal, bodily level. Also, the temperature in this space became very different, because so there's a carpet, the windows are closed. These projectors also create heat, so it's warmer than in the other spaces. So it's really something that maybe is not, can be only articulated also in art, like a feeling of this world being in a very difficult situation. At the moment, also a place where it's difficult to find hope anywhere, and at the same time, the knowledge that we hopefully all have, that we never can give up, even if there is no hope that we can formulate or we can see somewhere in the horizon. So this space is articulating this in a very powerful way. And then from there we come to another new work that Neda Saeedi created for this exhibition, and this is called Monument of Oblivion. We see a monument which looks very different from other monuments, as it's rather reminiscent of construction sites. We hear a sound that lets us think of debris. So we have debris running in a circle, not knowing where to go. It gets louder and louder, the whole monument starts to vibrate, and we don't know how long this monument will be able to hold back the debris. How long can it choreograph it in a way that it's just running in a circle and not breaking out? Of course, a Monument of Oblivion is somehow a paradox, because normally we build monuments to not forget, to think actively of something. Then, of course, this work responds to the debates that we are worldwide having, at least since 4 years, in an intensified manner. What do we do with all these monuments for tyrants? What do we do with all the monuments that have never been built for real heroes? And also the question, what do we do now? Because the debris that we hear and that gets louder and louder, we don't know if it's only from the past, is it also from today? So it raises a lot of questions, and once more it creates a room for experiencing these questions. You have to deal with them. Every visitor who comes in has to deal with them. Also, it's not something that you can distance yourself from, because again, it comes through your ears, it's a dark space, you see these, this gray work, you maybe get afraid, will something explode? Yeah, so it's also on the physical level. And then the exhibition ends with work which is very well ordered. Everything is set perfectly. This is the work, Two Shades of Green. And it's working with ideas of gardens, one could say, through centuries. It starts with Persian miniatures at the walls. We see like abstract versions, the geometrical substrates of the entrances of palace gardens. And she took, I mean, normally these miniatures are tiny, right? And they illustrate a narration, a story. Here they are deprived of both persons and colors, and they are blown up big and in steel, so very cold material. And we just see the geometrics. We have in the center a perfect tree, you know, crown and root in the same size, many different leaves from trees that would never be green in real life at the same time. So in a real garden, if you would plant these different trees, they would not show their leaves at the same time. Here, it's the case, but it's of course, they are all dead. That's the price that needs to be paid for it. And we have these small tables, also put in a very rhythmical way around the tree in the center, and they are displaying snow globes. In each snow globe, you have an avatar or building or plant, all taken from different video games that all have in common that if you play them, you are invited to create an empire. And that means you collect things, you name them. First of all, you collect yourself, so an avatar, and then you collect things, you make a demarcation of a territory, and of course your territory needs to be the best in order to win. So the question also, why, even when we play, why do we reproduce the world's order which brought us where we are right now? So I think the amazing power of this work is that I could also see it with our visitors. When you enter the space, everybody makes a comment like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. But then when you spend some time in it, you have to notice that this perfection is actually created by colonial and imperial means. So to keep in check nature and to model it the way that it that we think this would be the perfect order, and also to do it, of course, with other humans, because even in the this classical Persian garden was not accessible for everyone. That's why also Neda shows entrances to them. So what is the price for our idea of perfection? And it's a very high price. There's no soul, basically. There's no life. And all the different, like in the Middle Ages, in the Persian miniatures, at least in the substrates that she shows, neither in the tree, which is completely dead, nor in these characters coming from video games. So you could think, oh, wow, they made it into three-dimensional life. But again, they are isolated, encapsulated in their own, very own bubble. There's only, it's one by one, and they are frozen. Yes, so I think, again, it's referring to something that we think a lot about these days, and then at the same time with Neda's works is never, they don't only address you in something, look, I want to teach you this and that, but they create an environment that you step into, that it does something. It shows you also that we are all tempted by this beauty. So we all first, I would say, from what I witnessed, and I can also say it from myself, that you are first, most of us are very much attracted at first sight by this order. And then only thinking it through, we have to acknowledge what's wrong with it. And we also feel it in the space. So it's about these ambivalencies and difficulties. It is about our duties that we have. And I would just say for the end, it's burning.